Hi everybody, it's Ashley Carter and I'm here to do my book blessing video. Before I get started, I just wanted to give you guys a little background about myself. I was born and raised in Kalamazoo, Michigan, so I've been here pretty much my whole life. I graduated from Western in 2012. I'm currently a preschool teacher for Head Start in Kalamazoo County. This is the beginning of my 5th year there, so a little background on Head Start in case you are not sure exactly what that program is. We serve children who are at risk for being unsuccessful at school. So there are certain risk factors that qualify a child to enroll in Head Start. So they're kind of risk factors that have been decided that they could be potentially reasons why a student might not be successful at Head Start. So most of our students qualify, over 90% of our students qualify for Head Start because they're living under the poverty line. So they're living without access to nutrition and health services, and that can be a hindrance to their education. Other qualifying factors are if a family is receiving public assistance. I took some notes so I could stay on track, so that's why I keep looking up. So if they're receiving public assistance, if they're homeless, if they have a parent who is deceased or in jail or prison, if a child is in foster care, also if they've been diagnosed with a disability. So those are a lot of factors that can cause trauma and distress in a student's life. So Head Start works to provide a high quality preschool education for them, despite those factors, so that they're ready when they set foot in kindergarten. So I'm going to go ahead with my book blessing. So since I am in a preschool classroom, all of my books that I was able to locate hard copies of, they're all picture books because those are the books we use at preschool. So I actually had quite a few to choose from, so I'm just going to kind of go through the list and explain why I enjoy this book. So every book that I have in my stack, I have read in my classroom. So I'm just going to get started. The first one is called Families. Sorry, I can't fit the book in my face and here at the same time. It's called Families, and it's by Shelley Rotner and Sheila M. Kelly. And the first thing I like about this book is that they use actual photographs of families. So the front cover is a huge picture of a family. So every page in this book has very simple text and very bright, vivid, fun photographs. And you can see on this page, they show all different kinds of families. So there's families with mixed genders, or mixed races and culture. Some are big families, some are small families. Let's see if I can find another page. So like this one has children in it that have different skin colors, but they're still a part of the same family. So this book actually covers all sorts of contemporary family orientation. So it represents single parents, grandparents as parents, or extended family members as parents, single parents, I said that one already, families with adopted members, families with same-sex parents. So I really like this book because I feel like the most important thing you can do when you're reading books with your students is allowing them to see themselves in the literature, or at least someone that they can relate to. So this one just has a really diverse group of pictures that I feel like all my kids can relate to. And this next book is kind of an extension of that idea, but it goes specifically into adopted families. It's called I'm Adopted, and it's actually by the same author as the last book. And when I was going through all of my stacks of books that I felt like were diverse, I actually realized I have like 5 or 6 books from these same 2 authors. So they actually focused on creating a series of books that would be culturally diverse and that you could share in a classroom, so that all of your students are being represented. So this one specifically talks about adoption. The one thing that I really liked about this one is it answers questions in it. Questions that children might have about being adopted that just kind of comes naturally, but it also has photographs, bright, beautiful, colorful photographs of all different types of people. It explains why someone might be adopted, why someone might choose to adopt, and I know we're not supposed to give away the story, but here's a picture of different kids. And it says lots of children are adopted, so that if you have a student in your class who has been adopted, they can hopefully find someone in the book that they can relate to. But it talks about why people might adopt. It explains where someone who's adopted might come from. And it's just a really authentic way to share stories of people who are adopted. It talks about students or children who are adopted want to hear the story over and over again of where they came from. So if I actually haven't had any students in my class that are adopted, but even my other students enjoy listening to this book because it expands their worldview, and they might know people who have been adopted. So that was my second book. My next book, continuing on the theme, a lot of my books have photographs instead of illustrations, which obviously there's nothing against illustration, but I think it's easier to have an authentic representation of a group of people if there's actual photographs of real people, so then it's not distorted by the illustrator's views of what those people are supposed to look like, if that makes sense. So this one also kind of connects to the first one about families, and this one delves in deeper to grandparents. Every year I've had students in my class who are being raised by their grandparents, and so they love this book. And one great thing about this is it's a global album, so it's not just what do grandparents look like in America, which obviously that could be varied as well, but this has photographs of students from all over the students. I always want to call them students, children from all over the world. So it's called Our Grandparents, a Global Album, and it's written by 3 authors, Maya Ajmera, Sheila Kincaid, and Cynthia Pon. So I'll just show you some of the pictures. Oh, one cool thing about this is there's a foreword in it. And it's by, I wanted to make sure I had it right, by Desmond Tutu. And he's a Nobel Peace Prize winner. So there's a little picture of him talking to some children. And obviously for most children, the relationship that they have with their grandparents is special, and so it's kind of neat that they can relate that to children all across the world. So some really fun, bright photographs again. And there was one page at the beginning I really liked. Before the foreword has more pictures of grandparents and their grandchildren, but also it tells several different ways that you can say grandma and grandpa in different languages. So I thought that was a great exposure for students to learn different words. I'll just show another page. From Italy, Pakistan, pictures from all over the world. So I thought that was a really cool book. And moving on. This book is called All the Colors We Are, The Story of How We Get Our Skin Color. And you can see on the bottom here that this is a bilingual book, English and Spanish. This book is great for my classroom because this year I work in St. Joe Catholic Church in the building behind their the church building, and in that area there is a huge Hispanic community, so 80% of our students are Hispanic, so they love seeing Spanish, obviously, in our book. So, and this is another one with photographs, if you're noticing a theme. If I can just show you some pictures. This one is great because it kind of delves into the reason why we have different skin colors, and it's scientific, but it's still child-friendly. Like, I can read this with my 4- and 5-year-olds, and they understand what I'm saying, so... it's a bilingual book that talks about the relevant issues of our different skin colors. Each page is written in both English and Spanish. It looks at the scientific reasons behind how we each get the skin color that we have, explained in a simple way. And this page I thought was really cool. It's a skin spectrum, so you can have your students or children put their hand on the page and kind of see which color does their skin kind of match. And it's a good conversation starter too, because although there's a lot of shades on this page, not everyone matches, so we kind of talk about how we're all a little different. And then we can kind of talk about the reasons why we're different. It comes from our parents. Some of us are darker because of the sun. Like I said, I don't want to give it all away, but it's got English and Spanish in it. Another fun, really great book that has lots of bright photographs. So I think those are all of the ones that I had with photographs. So I guess I was trying to keep it organized. So this goes along with the same theme with skin color, because I think it's good to talk about the fact that we're different, and maybe not say that one skin color is a normal color and everyone else is different, but we all have our own unique skin color, instead of ignoring it because it might be a controversial topic. Especially with my young ones, they like to talk about those kinds of things. Little kids will just bluntly say what they see, so I think it's good to bring it up in a safe way that we can all talk about it together. So this is just a really cute, fun book talking about our skin and how they're all different colors. It's another celebration of all the colors of our skin. It's by Fran Manushkin, illustrated by Lauren Tobia. There's the front cover. So it actually starts with a family who has a new baby, and they are of mixed skin color. And you can see the mom and the dad and the different skin colors of each of their children. A dark-skinned father and a light-skinned mother. And what I liked about this book is kind of fun, the way that they describe different colors of our skin. They compare it to words that they already know, like cocoa, peaches and cream, ginger, cinnamon, and honey. It also talks about different features of skin, like freckles, dimples, birthmarks, scabs, different things that happen to our skin that might make them look different. So I just thought that the illustrations were really fun, and they're pretty. My kids really love this book. There's that one. My next book that I'd like to talk about is called Last Stop on Market Street. This book is actually a 2016 Caldecott Honor Book and a 2016 Coretta Scott King Illustrator Honor Book. So it got awards for the illustrations and for the text. This book is about a young boy named CJ, and he takes a bus ride with his grandma after church one day, and along the way he's asking her a lot of questions about things that are going on in the world around them. There they are, waiting outside with an umbrella. And one thing about this book is it's simple questions, and his grandma gives some simple answers. But there's issues of inequality that are addressed throughout the book. And also shows, because they live in the city, so a lot of our families come from inner city. So it talks about riding the bus, and some of our students experience that. Instead of having a car, they have to ride the bus everywhere. But this page was kind of cool because it shows the city, it shows graffiti and birds and people, but it represents it in a positive way. It doesn't necessarily say it's bad to live in the city, or if there's graffiti on the buildings where you live, that's a bad thing. So it's like an authentic representation. I'm not going to give away the end, but it's a really fun book. My kids love it. I feel like I'm saying that about all these books, but the next book is this one. Is really fun. It's called I Got the Rhythm. One thing I really love about this book is it's a story about an African American girl, but it's written by an African American author, and it's illustrated by her African American husband. So I remember learning in my undergrad at Western in a similar class to this one about diversity in literature. Something I never really thought about before, but it's important to look for books. If this certain book is representing a certain culture, it's a lot easier to find books that are authentic and not stereotypical or reinforcing bias, if it's written by people in that culture that they're representing. So actually my next couple of books are kind of books like that. So this one is called I've Got the Rhythm. It's just a really fun. This one, I think, probably has the brightest illustrations of all. It's about a little girl who goes on a walk through the park with her mom, and she kind of sees and hears rhythm everywhere around her. It shows a lot of joy, really bright, vivid illustrations. it's just a fun book. And one thing that's great about this book for preschoolers is that it has movement opportunities in it. You know, they can clap along. That's a really fun book. Try to hurry up because it's already been 15 minutes. The next book is called The Name Jar. This one is the author of this story was born and raised in Korea. She grew up there. And so the story is about a young girl who immigrates from Korea with her family, and so she's attending a new school in America. And so she faces a dilemma when no one can pronounce her Korean name correctly. So at one point, her friends at school offer to give her a new name, and so it kind of addresses the idea of the importance of a name. Like there she is with her grandma at the airport when they're traveling. This one it's a bit wordier, so this usually takes a couple of days for my friends, but it might be better for, first grade or second grade. It talks about, the value of a name, how our names are chosen for us, they have meaning, and I just think it's a really beautiful story. Again, a story about a Korean American written by a Korean person. And the next one is a similar idea. It's called Dumpling Soup. This story captures the experience of a young Asian American girl. The author of this story is a third generation Korean American. She was born and raised in Hawaii. So this story takes place on the island of Oahu, so still in the Hawaii area. The little girl in the story, her name is Marissa, and she's nervous because her family's coming to visit from all over Hawaii, and they're going to be together for New Year's, and she has to make the dumplings, so her grandma's teaching her. And it talks about culture, food, family traditions, and again, it's represented by someone from the culture that they're writing about. So really pretty illustrations as well. And my last book is called The Princess and the Pea, which you may be familiar with, but this is actually an adaptation of it. It's retold and illustrated by a woman named Rachel Isadora. And actually I read in the little description in the back that, because at first, when I first got this book, I was thinking in my head, is this culturally authentic, because was it written by someone who knows African culture? And the woman actually who wrote this book lived in Africa for over 10 years. And so she's writing out of that experience. So the author, she's a Caldecott Honor winner. So she lived in Africa on and off for over 10 years, and that inspired her to give this classic story an authentic African setting. So I thought that was really cool, because most kids are taught the story of the Princess and the Pea, but it's usually a white princess with blonde hair, a very fair princess. And so I love that this adds a new cultural dimension, and also it assigns nobility to a different race, which I think is important, and has really fun illustrations as well. So, some more pictures. And those were the 10 books that I chose for my book blessing. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.